If you have a retractable hose central vacuum system in your home, you've probably found it to be quite reliable and trouble-free. But, like anything, occasionally it may need some attention. One of the more common complaints after several years of use is that the hose becomes more difficult to pull out and retract. And there are several causes for this. First, if the hose is not retracting properly, you want to make sure your system has full suction. It might just need to be cleaned out, or the filters changed, or something of that nature. But a hose that's very difficult to pull out can be oftentimes one or two different issues. And you'll want to start by taking the hose and pulling it completely out. And whether you have a Haida hose or this happens to be a chameleon, the hose can be pulled all the way out, and you can examine it. And I have here actually an orange demonstrator Haida hose. What you may find, if the hose has a sock on it, as most do, over time the sock may be bunched up at one end and stretched tightly at the other end. And this happens just with pulling it on and retracting over and over. And so the hose is nice and flexible, except at this end where it's really stiff. And they say if this lasts longer than 4 hours, you should call your doctor. Well, Dr. Owen's here to help. This is not going to easily make it around the turns, and that's going to be the cause for the hard pulling out. And so there's a couple of things you can do. The first is just to take and pinch and pull the sock back from this end and give yourself a little bit more slack uniformly along the hose's length. The other thing you can do is you can take the cap out of here, and you'll notice that the cap, underneath the cap, which is usually glued in, the hose sock is folded over, and that's how it's held at this end. Well, if the hose has actually stretched and the sock has not stretched, then you can cut a few inches off the hose until the sock is just about an inch or so longer than the hose to allow you to fold it back over, reinstall the cap, and that should make the problem go away. And this is a fix that you might have to do every few years. You can choose to replace the hose, of course, but that's probably not necessary. So the other thing, this other little secret trick that I recently was made aware of by my friend Evan at Pittsburgh Central Vacuum, is this stuff. This is food grade silicone spray. This is another one of those things you can, so many uses. But if you have a system that is difficult to retract, you can actually spray some of this inside the pipe, and then as your hose retracts, some of it will get coated onto the hose sock, and it doesn't leave a residue. It kind of impregnates the sock. That's the great thing about this silicone spray. It does not leave a greasy or oily residue. So we're going to do a little test. First, okay, I got my 40-foot chameleon hose pulled out all the way, and we're going to turn this on and retract it. Then we're going to do the spray treatment, and we're going to retract it again and see how big a difference it makes. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with the way this retracts, and I'm actually not using it on a unit with substantial water lift. My machine here has about 115 inches of sealed vacuum, and retractable hose systems really want a little more than that, sometimes a lot more than that, to work optimally. All right, so we're going to pull that out. And we're going to turn this on. I'll show you what we do. So here's our silicone spray, and I'm just going to spray the ball with it. And then I'm just going to Okay, that should be good. Now we're going to retract the hose again. Yeah, I don't know how clearly it comes up on the camera, but wow, that just flies out of the wall like butter. And especially if you have a system where the raceway is below the valve, like if the piping runs through the basement, this will make a big difference in how easily the hose can be pulled up out. And, oh yeah, that's wonderful. So those are my little quick tips for you. How to fix a hose on a retractable hose system that pulls out or retracts with difficulty. This is Owen at Just Central Vacuum saying thank you for watching, and I hope you found this video informative.